Welcome to Champ Week presented by Principal. And in Albany, it has been a blustery weekend for the top seeds in the MAAC championship. Iona was the best seed remaining in the semifinal round. The Gales, trying to get back to the NCAA tournament with their 11th MAAC championship, will face the Stags out of Connecticut. And look, for the first time since 2002, the top three teams did not make it to the Final Four of this tournament. Thanks for joining us. Jason Benetti along with Albany's most recognizable man, Jay Billis. A strange year in college basketball, kind of playing out here as well.
We've talked about how unpredictable college basketball is this year, and it's going to lead to a crazy March Madness, and it's been reflected in the MAAC tournament. But maybe we shouldn't be surprised, because Iona has owned this event seemingly under Tim Cluse, and there has not been a hotter team in the league than Fairfield over the last 12 games. They've won 10 of 12 and seem to have really found something.
And it's been not only with Tim Cluse, but there have been coaches throughout the years. Jeff Rulin, Tim Welsh, guys that have gotten Iona to the NCAA tournament. You see the titles double what Siena and Manhattan have provided. And you've got to expect, based on the last meeting between these two teams, that we're going to see some points tonight.
Well, Iona likes to get up and down the court. Transition, early offense, the speed advance. In practice, they use a 10-second shot clock. And Fairfield, even though Sidney Johnson likes the Princeton system, and they tried to slow the first meeting down a bit to keep Iona out of transition, they're willing to run. Last time these two teams played, they both scored over 100 points.
Fairfield comes in 17-15, Iona 19-13. Fairfield has played one extra game in this tournament. Iona got the bye to the quarterfinal round, and we are off and running. Zach Lewis with the ball first for the Gales out of New Rochelle.
So many different players for Iona can knock down a three.
Lewis with a 2 to open the ball game, and that's in fact his first field goal of the year against Fairfield.
Well, this tournament he's averaging 17.5 points. And he's made 5 3-pointers in his last 2. Now, Iona going back into a 2-3 zone. And the player you really have to watch is Tyler Nelson here. They're just face guarding him. Ricky McGill just not even moving and looking at anybody but Tyler Nelson.
He was getting chased all over the arena last night. And a foul called against Jesus Cruz for Sidney Johnson in his 7th season at Fairfield, the former Ivy League Player of the Year at Princeton.
Sidney Johnson was an excellent player at Princeton. Played for Pete Carrilli, played on that 1996 team that beat UCLA in the NCAA tournament.
You know, it's kind of neat talking to Sidney Johnson about that game against UCLA. He said one of the best moments of that night, and he remembers a lot of them, a lot of back cuts from Gabe Llewellys. But he looked up in the stands and saw his dad Leroy up there, and they kind of exchanged a little bit of a smile, and he'll remember that forever. Like I'll remember this forever, Jay. Your smile. 4-0 Iona.
Iona playing with a good deal of energy to start the game, an energy they did not have against St. Peter's in the semifinal.
That was a slog. As Cruz buries a 3 for Fairfield.
Boy, really good penetration in the kick back, that play behind action, which can be so difficult to guard. You're worried about the penetration, and the pass goes back to where the drive came from. Where this spread floor really puts a lot of pressure on you to guard the ball and stay in front of the ball.
That's the idea for Tim Cluse. Put the pressure on. Tim Cluse, an interesting guy, former police officer, kind of has a lacrosse background thanks to his high school coach who was a lacrosse coach, and that's where the concept comes from, the way Iona plays offense.
Yeah, Tim Cluse played at St. John's and wound up at Hofstra as a player, and coached in high school. He coached Scott Machado, who was one of the top assist guys in the country. Also Danny Green, who played at North Carolina and now with the San Antonio Spurs. Good pass.
Kavalauskas the find, and Flavors missed the jumper. He was hot last night. Farron Flavors Jr., the sophomore.
He's at 11 of 33s before that one in this tournament. You give him an open one, he has drained them.
Casimir goes down to the deck and rescues it for Iona. E.J. Crawford sweeping in for 2.
And E.J. Crawford, a lefty, that finish with his right hand. And he's going to be a key performer in this game because he can knock down perimeter shots. 53s on the season, and shoots 80% from the free throw line. If you foul him, he's going to make his free throws.
There are lots of guys, as you mentioned, for Iona that can shoot the ball. Cruz looking for his second, and the offensive rebound for Casababu. He had it crowbarred away, and here comes McGill with Lewis, who got hammered.
E.J. Crawford, who made maybe the biggest bucket of the game in the semifinals in the far corner. Lefty knocked down a really important three, using the right hand and shielding off the defender with his body.
Thank you for watching our telecast from last night, by the way. Really appreciate it.
Well, I didn't say I had the sound on, but no, you and Rob Kennedy were great together.
That $20 bill I slipped you paid off.
I'm just glad to be working with a play-by-play guy with hair. It has been so long.
How long? A couple years, maybe?
Longer than that. I think you might have to go back. Geez, it might go all the way back to Dave Sims in the late 90s.
Wow. First of the decade for you. Do you have a graphic for that? All right, so if you're Fairfield, how do you not get caught up in what Iona tries to make you do?
I think you have to take advantage of it. If they're going to press, you have to break that pressure to score. And right now, Iona's been all over the place. That was a great anticipation steal.
It just barely fell off the rim, and a foul going against Iona. And that's what Tim Cluse told us. The energy coming out of halftime in the second half was a big difference last night.
Yeah, they get their energy primarily from their defense. Even though they play fast on offense, it's the full court pressure that they try to speed their opponent and get them into quick shot situations, and they can run the ball up the floor. And they will take the first open shot, the first available three. And this is not a team that is concerned at all about quick shots. They want them.
Average possession time this year for Iona, 16 seconds.
Yeah, why wait? That's not a good foul. And you don't ever want to foul Tyler Nelson, period, because he's a great free throw shooter. But when he hasn't had many looks, you don't want to let him get to the free throw line and see the ball go through the net. Now watch this fake. He's got an excellent shot fake, but he's like 30 feet from the basket. And the shot fake has credibility because he's such a great scorer.
Second best free throw shooter, to your point, in the MAAC this year, Tyler Nelson, who was double teamed, triple teamed. He said it's been going on for about 2 years now that he's been just dogged by MAAC opponents.
Yeah, and Sidney Johnson was telling both of us at the shoot-around this morning that how he's handling it is what's really improved, that he used to let it bother him and show the frustration, and that made it even worse. It emboldened his opponents that were face guarding him, double teaming him, and now he knows he's going to get his shots. He just has to play through it, and he doesn't. You can see the strength in his face and his body language now that you couldn't see maybe last year or the year before.
Senior out of Bradford, Massachusetts, north of Boston, Tyler Nelson goes 2 for 3.
At the Central Catholic High School in the Merrimack Valley.
You been?
You didn't think you'd get a geography lesson from me, did you?
No, I did. I knew that's one of your strengths. Carry that globe all over the place.
No, I'm from the Kyrie Irving school that the earth is flat.
Is that a school? Or is that an exaggerated use of the word?
We learned it in school.
Flavors had it taken away.
Great hands by Cashmere.
Can't pay it off. A little out of control. Flavors.
Ricky McGill in transition went right to Nelson. He didn't care what happened with the ball. He was going to make sure Nelson didn't get it.
Zach Lewis, the grad transfer, started his career at Canisius, then went to UMass, and now back in the MAAC with Iona, and yet another takeaway for the Gales. Turnover number 5 for Fairfield. The Stags trail by 5.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Taco Bell. Try the new $1 nacho fries, here for a limited time.
Your mental toughness, I've already talked to you about that. All right, we've been in moments, even just last night, right? Where our backs against the wall, we've learned how to come out of it. And from the day you've been here, you've loved each other. So why would we change that? Are we going to change that? And we don't need any hype talk. That's all right there. And they don't have it. Let's go.
You know, Sidney Johnson told us before the game this is as emotionally charged as he's been with a team this season. They were 7-13, reacted well, and now 17-15 in the final. But turnovers are starting to mount.
Yeah, they've turned it over. That's 6 turnovers now, only 4 field goals. But I thought when Sidney was telling us about how emotionally charged and how connected his team was, I'd never heard this before. He said he recruits that way, that with this team, he recruited them all. He said, I recruited them to love each other. And I don't think I've ever heard a coach say that. It was really interesting.
Nice drop-off get, too, for Roland Griffin. Specifically that class, this senior class, and the juniors as well, to front load that as Nelson buries a 3. He's got 5 of the 8 for Fairfield.
Nelson was wide open when he caught that ball. That was the first time in this game that Iona was not alert to where he was on the floor, and one mistake and he burned him.
But suddenly Iona, as they play, gets a 3 right back, and they can bury you doing that.
Well, Zach Lewis, that's his 44th 3 of the season. Iona has 5 different guys that have made 40 or more 3s on the year. What a block.
Roland Griffin swatted it away. Lewis wants another.
Well, Roland Griffin had 21 points against Fairfield earlier this year, 9 of 13 from the field. Gives a nice bump when he comes into the game.
Tim Plouffe just has to be happy that Griffin's in the game for some time without a foul. Last 2 games, 9 total fouls. He leads the team with 87 of them.
Good drive.
McGill in the corner.
Well, that drive gave him the baseline drift for Ricky McGill. Didn't make it, but that was really good offense.
Griffin again with a block, and he sat on the end line.
Let's take a look at where Tyler Nelson is right here after the made basket and taking it in. And Iona just did not do a very good job of finding him. He's able to run down court. McGill never picked him up. He was waiting for him by the 3-point line instead of, don't worry about Flavors, get out to him and make sure that Nelson's not the guy that gets the shot. You let a great scorer, guy averaging 22 a game, who's hit 40 earlier this year against Ryder, you give him an open shot, and all of a sudden he gets way more confident.
You clearly have never worked in a kitchen. Don't worry about Flavors.
The Chopped kitchen.
Are you just trying to become a contestant? Is that why you dropped that?
No, I do watch Chopped, even though they don't use any ingredients that any normal person would use at home. It's fascinating. It just shows that I'm interested more in competition than I am in learning something.
There's a shot clock issue, by the way. So our officiating crew will go over. Jeff Anderson, Rob Riley, Ron Taberski.
Really, if Fairfield can stop turning the ball over and give themselves, Jason, when you turn the ball over, obviously you don't get a shot, which is important, but you don't get a chance for an offensive rebound. You don't get a chance to get fouled. And here you can see the shot clock issue right now stops. Everything stops at 27.
We'll find out if there was a change of possession. So it's going to be 20 seconds on the shot clock. And to your point, if you're not getting turnovers in this game, you're not really going to get extra possessions because neither of these teams likes to offensive rebound very much.
Yeah, but when you do turn it over, the consequences are pretty severe. It not only puts your defense in a bad spot. I mean, that's how you get blown out of a game like this. If you cough it up and you don't give, Iona's not a great defensive team. You cannot cough the ball up. You got to give yourself a chance to get a shot on every possession, even if it's not a great shot.
Nelson has 2 guys with him.
Good shot fake.
Flavors got it to go in.
All that was made just by a simple shot fake, and Iona leapt up, was totally out of position based upon that simple little fake. Fairfield plays mostly man. They do a ton of switching. Good steal.
That's Segura, who had a great defensive night in the semis last night. Jerome Segura, and that's the 8th turnover for Fairfield in just over 7 minutes. Wednesday night NBA doubleheader. Detroit first against the Raptors, the Eastern Conference leaders, at 8 Eastern. Then LeBron and the Cavs in Denver to take on the Nuggets. NBA Countdown at 7 on ESPN, as well as the ESPN app, where if you're lucky, you'll see a commercial with Jay Billis in it. You're all over my app.
I wonder if LeBron is going to get into Hollywood now that Kobe's won an Oscar. If you're going to see LeBron and his competitive nature get to Hollywood, try to get multiple Oscars.
You think? You put money on it?
Wouldn't be surprised. With all the money these guys are making, good screen. Got to be right up on top of that. That's way too easy. That's essentially ball screen defense out of a zone, and just totally picked off. The wing guys got to come up and defend that.
McGill had it blocked, or he got hit. No whistle. And suddenly Fairfield could take the lead or tie, as this will go to Iona. We're going to check on Joe Lunardi's condition. He's working very hard this week. He's in the bracket bunker. We'll check in after this with Joe. MAAC tournament. Fairfield has not been to the NCAA tournament since 1997. Champ week underway, and don't forget the ACC tournament is coming up. And what an interesting case Notre Dame in that 10 spot is. With Bonzie Colson back and playing well, you'd think that Notre Dame's got an argument to make the NCAA tournament.
I think Notre Dame has a great argument, but I think the Irish are going to have to, they'll beat Pittsburgh, but I think they'll have to beat Virginia Tech in order to feel comfortable that they'll have a really good opportunity to get in.
They almost get damaged by having to play Pitt in that first round.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm a proponent. I know there may not be a ton of agreement on this, but I'm a proponent that the selection committee should have made all their at-large selections last Sunday. That at the end of the regular season after the Duke North Carolina game, great pass.
Griffin had it swatted and a goaltend called. Methnani trailing the play, had the block, but they'll give 2 to Griffin.
Boy, Iona just busting out in transition with the quick outlet. And Griffin not only doing that was a good block. That did not hit the backboard and was still going up, but a terrific effort by Griffin to run the floor. But I'm a believer that all the at-large selections should have been made last Sunday, because the major conference teams, all the way more opportunities to have wins, that high caliber wins in their tournament that are going to get them into the field, and the sort of the mid-majors, the smaller conference teams, they have no shot to do that. And I think the tournament should be about the automatic bid only and not getting extra bites at the apple.
And it's already overloaded in terms of bias with the regular season schedule in the big leagues, as well as Nelson got free and missed the layup.
Boy, the turnovers, some missed opportunities, and still Fairfield right in this game. If the Stags stop turning it over and they start finishing plays, I think they're going to have a very good opportunity here.
Nelson becoming close friends currently with Casimir. 8 turnovers in less than half of a half for Fairfield on an average of 12.5 this season.
And you have to think that there's a little bit of nerves that go into that. They're really juiced to try to get this MAAC championship, the tournament championship, which carries with it the automatic bid and a trip to the NCAA tournament. Iona has been before, but no one on this roster for Fairfield has had that experience of winning this championship and going to the dance.
The only guy on that bench is Mitch Bonaguro, who's been there as a head coach for Fairfield back in the 80s, now an assistant back at the school.
And Methnani's come into this game, and he's been a nice presence inside.
Oh my goodness, just wide open Methnani. Nobody was on the glass.
Well, you've seen early in the game that Fairfield was essentially sending 4 guys back, not sending anybody to the offensive glass because of Iona's break. They're trying to take transition away, and Iona stopped rebounding because of it. And that allowed Methnani to sneak in there.
Griffin off the back tab. Missed the jumper.
Everybody for Iona was leaking out, and I think Fairfield can take advantage of that. Good fake.
Flavors bags a three, and Fairfield takes its first lead of the game.
With all the turnovers, all the missed opportunities, Fairfield with the lead. That's got to be an uplifting feeling that if they start taking care of the ball, that Fairfield can have some great success.
Griffin gets fouled. He gets 2 as well. 8 in the first half for Griffin.
Griffin started his career at Illinois State, wound up at Midland College in Texas, and is an excellent defender. But he's shown some real versatility on the offensive end as well. He can catch the ball on the perimeter. He's only made a couple threes on the season, but he can drive it a little bit. Averages about 10 points, 5 rebounds a game, but his energy level has been really good in this game.
From the home of Wayne Campbell, Aurora, Illinois.
Wayne and Garth.
Griffin, the three-point play.
Wonder if he's been to Stan Makita's Donuts.
Game on.
Still with the 2-3 zone.
Nelson will find his shot. He does, and he ties the game.
Right over Deshaun Much, and that shows you the versatility that Tyler Nelson has. That was a great pull-up jumper.
Griffin, very willing to shoot, gets fouled again.
Well, Griffin was quickest to the ball. He knew he missed it when he let it go, and he went after that thing, got fouled as a result of his activity level. He's huffing and puffing a little bit, not because he's not in shape, because he's playing so hard.
Iona's feeling is that when you get later in the game, especially later in a tournament, you're going to have the advantage based on conditioning, and we'll see if that plays out tonight as Flavors got his second foul, so a big scorer for Fairfield, 12 a game, has 2 personals.
Did I sound like Dan Dockich when I just said that? Yeah, I'm telling you. You just play hard. Good things are going to happen if you play hard. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Jason. I'm telling you. Just play hard.
Did I sound like Dan Dockich? Is kind of like, do I look fat in this? I have no good answer for you. Two for 2. Your teeth haven't fallen out, so you're in good shape. Winner goes to the NCAA tournament. Fairfield the 6, Iona the 4. And Iona wants a timeout, and they're not going to get it.
Yeah, Segura just trying to shake Vanderlick because he had an advantage and wound up turning the ball over, just playing with it out front. Well, they're going to keep it on the held ball, but just making the simple play has been so good for Fairfield in this game.
That's tough to get guys to do in such a volatile, emotional environment, wouldn't you say?
Well, especially when you're getting sped up by Iona, and Iona wants to play a fast game. Fairfield can play fast and had great success against Iona playing fast in the last ball game, that overtime game where they scored, 103? Good pass.
And 2 free throws coming for Omar El-Sheikh, who had a huge game in that second meeting. 15 points on an average of 3.5.
Yeah, they just threw it into the post to El-Sheikh, and he finished it. He actually killed Iona in that game. Those 15 points were more than the difference.
El-Sheikh from Kuwait, Methnani from Tunisia. They have players from Serbia and Sweden and Lithuania and Puerto Rico and the Democratic Republic of the Congo and
also
Houston.
And Washington.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I took your line.
But wasn't that funny today when Sidney Johnson was saying that the most fun he has is getting on the bus where he hears Serbian, Arabic, English, broken English, Lithuanian, and rap music.
Second free throw is good. 1 for 2 for El-Sheikh. Everybody on that bench has either history playing overseas or recruiting overseas heavily. Griffin to the rim again, got jostled and no whistle.
Probably got fouled there. It was, but Methnani went straight up and he brought his arm down. Even though the arm didn't make contact, when the arm's down and there's body contact, it's usually called. A little box set. Good
Nelson
fake.
Got Griffin to fly by and buries the three.
How pretty is that? I mean, just a little diagonal screen, and Nelson came off that screen so hard. His footwork was so good, but that shot fake, and the defender just flew on by, and he still keeps his balance, makes a beautiful shot.
Wild shot that time for Lewis. Tyler Nelson, who's top 13 in the country in scoring, starting to get on track for Fairfield. Methnani got the bounce.
Methnani didn't panic in the corner, wound up getting it all the way to the basket, pivoting and shooting with the right hand. But what a great fake by Nelson, who averages 22 a game. That's big time.
Fairfield leads in the MAAC championship by 4 over Iona as we go to Joe Lunardi live in the Infinity Bracket Bunker inside his undisclosed location for safety purposes. Joe, how are you tonight? Keep them at bay. So, Jay and I were just talking about this regarding Notre Dame. Bonzie Colson's back. He's playing well. What are the chances Notre Dame makes the NCAA tournament?
Well, Joe, what is a team, I mean, you mentioned Notre Dame, but what's a team that should be sweating that maybe in past years would have a pretty good opportunity to get in, but you think may wind up getting left out with a pretty decent resume?
Now shot is number 15. Onset the Nutties first, team 6. Adeline Cornell rolling over fast.
Joe, thanks. Always appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Joe.
That is Joe Lunardi, everybody, from inside the Infinity Bracket Bunker. Need to make sure we keep him fed down there.
Good switch out by Kashmir there onto Nelson. And one thing that Iona needs to do in addition to keeping better track of Tyler Nelson is Cedric Kashmir and Ricky McGill have to get going. They've got nothing going offensively in this ball game. And without them putting points on the board, you know, Iona's not going to be able to generate enough offense.
Ricky McGill in 3 games now, 2 plus this half, in the MAAC tournament has 4 points on an average of 13.5 a game.
And Nelson, I thought he was going to drill that off that double screen.
Lewis rolls it in, so Zach Lewis has taken up the mantle of scoring leader for Iona. He was the guy in the huddle last night that Tim Kluse said really started the good vibes for Iona in that comeback against the 9 seed St. Peter's.
Yeah, he said he just started yelling at his teammates, which he wants to happen. He wants guys to hold one another accountable. And he said that Lewis, who's a grad transfer from UMass, he started his career at Canisius, where he was on the all-freshman team, transferred to UMass. Now he's back as a grad transfer. He said it took him a while to sort of, I don't know, I guess find his voice, if you will, that where he felt comfortable enough to really challenge a teammate, and he certainly did it at the right time.
Who was your most vocal teammate?
I got yelled at by all my teammates. None of them ever had a problem finding their voice in that regard. Coach K did most of the yelling.
Do they still do it, your former teammates, by text or?
No, that's the beauty of television, is they can yell at their TV all they want. Now I can't hear them.
Crawford nearly traveled.
Yeah, great job by Segura there.
And a steal for Fairfield. The turnover is starting to build for Iona. There's number 6. And Lewis with the bailout foul.
Well, Nelson gave that ball up a little bit too early, I thought, and really sort of got away with it there. Methnani made a nice catch, but because it was given up so early, that gave him an opportunity to either get a charge or a turnover. He was able to avoid that and get fouled. Methnani needs to stay on the line there. As soon as he let that go, he came backwards. Yeah, that could have easily been a charge. He did a good job of getting under control and getting that foul on Much. But on that last one, Methnani, as soon as he let it go, he started backing up on the free throw line. If he stays on the line, he's got a really good stroke. If he stays on the line, that'll go in. Or maybe not. Apparently I'm not Rick Barry.
You're not?
I'm not. I know, it's sad.
Shocking, actually. Here is Deshaun Much, who's been a big-time scorer at points. Didn't see a lot of run last night. He's got his first 2, and maybe he's the jolt for Iona.
Well, in the first game these two teams played, he had 32 points against Fairfield. He's a great scorer. He's just really inconsistent. But Jerome Segura, who's a really good defender, was right in front of him, made him take a fall-away jumper. That was good defense, just better offense.
Now Methnani sinks a 3, just his 15th of the year.
Did you see how he stayed on the line there? I told you if he stayed on the line, he'd make that.
Yeah. Can we get a replay of that, or like 6 of them? Griffin fouled.
Take a look at Deshaun Much here going up against the ball hawk in Jerome Segura. That's a really difficult shot that Segura forced him into. But that's the kind of player that Much is and can be. And now watch this stroke. If he did this to the free throw line, he would have made it. Came right back down in the spot that he took off from, and it's a good looking stroke by Methnani. And what do you get? You know, you make a shot, you get rewarded by getting taken out.
Well, he did pick up his second foul.
That's no good. You still made a shot.
Who needs logic when you can have just pure emotional decision making, right? Griffin has had a dandy of a first half for Iona.
He's been the only offense, really. And that's why McGill and Cashmere need to get going. Especially Cedric Cashmere. I mean, he averaged 21 points a game in this tournament for Iona in the 2 games they played before this, and he needs to be a guy that gets going. He and McGill are the primary guards that need to put points on the board.
Iona looking for another trip to the NCAA tournament. They've been in 6 consecutive finals here in the MAAC tournament. Fairfield hasn't been to the NCAA tournament since 1997. Nelson was open again.
Just a staggered double into a staggered double going down to the corner to get Nelson, and Nelson comes off ready to fire. That was really well done.
The response from the Tulsa transfer TK Idogi.
Take a look at number 3, Tyler Nelson, from the baseline coming up. There's the double ball screen, then the staggered double, and he's ready to shoot as it comes off. It may not be the correct answer, but I have the answer. You know, Seth Greenberg is an encyclopedia of basketball. That's not Seth Greenberg.
Kind of looks like him.
That's Mitch Bonaguro, who is the former head coach here at Fairfield. Fairfield's had a number of really good coaches, Mitch Bonaguro being one of them, but Ed Cooley coached here, Tim O'Toole, excuse me. There have been some really good coaches. Paul Cormier.
Last time Fairfield made it to the NCAA tournament was 1997. They actually led North Carolina by nearly double figures at halftime. I clicked on YouTube to watch a little bit of that game. And you know who was calling it?
No.
Sean McDonough and Bill Raftery.
Yeah. Sure the bars in that area were well attended.
Uh-huh. Lovely Winston-Salem. That was also the tournament, same pod. North Carolina ends up playing Colorado. Colorado beat Indiana. That was the night Bob Knight walked from the Joel Coliseum back to the hotel.
Walked all the way back to the hotel, and that was when Dean Smith set the record for all-time wins, wasn't it?
It was. So the clock now at 3:36. They added 1 second. And an offensive foul. Looks like they're going to get Nelson with his second.
Yeah, McGill has done a really nice job on Nelson when he's been in there. It's been all face guarding, and he is not giving Nelson any room to breathe. But see how he face guards him right there? Just not much of a push, but just a little one. And you can see the face guarding that McGill's doing, and that might be a little bit of frustration that you see. We didn't see much of it, but an excellent first half on the part of Tyler Nelson. He picked up that second foul. He'll sit for a while, but boy, 17 points in the first half. That dude can flat out play.
He comes into the day 5 points a game behind Trae Young for the national lead in scoring. Top 15 scorer in the country. Nelson out right now. And McGill swirls it in for Iona.
Fairfield not giving McGill any passing lanes to give it up and just decided to keep it. And this full court pressure trying to speed up Fairfield a little bit. And then back into the 2-3 zone. Good pass.
That was Idis Kavalauskas. Looked like a goaltend on the shot.
Yeah, it's funny. The first goaltend they called probably wasn't one, and that one looked like that it hit the backboard first before it was touched.
Griffin, a rim run for two.
Roland Griffin's activity level has been a big difference in this game. That was a big-time cut that he just made to the basket.
Iona by 4. We're back in 30 seconds to Albany. Let's play America's fastest growing sensation. Was this a goaltend?
Well, beautiful pass. And that ball hit the backboard before it was touched.
You think so?
Well, you think he got it first, then it hit it again?
I thought real time it was a goaltend, but now I might be convinced.
Yeah, well, all I know is that was a great cut. Yeah, if we, hey, the referees win. If we have to go back to replay in order to call it, the referees win.
They always win anyway. 4-point game. Tip wasn't there. And here comes Iona leading by 4.
Really, Fairfield's been sending some more people to the glass. An offensive foul.
Don't forget, coming up later, the West Coast Conference semifinals. Championship is Tuesday, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Tonight, you will see Gonzaga against a pretty hot team in San Francisco, led by Frankie Ferrari.
And really, no way for BYU or San Francisco to make the NCAA tournament unless they win the automatic bid. I think it's going to be St. Mary's and Gonzaga yet again. And Gonzaga, they're a different team this year, but they're still really good. They're an Elite 8 caliber team, I think. Fairfield out of the horn set. Been well defended by Iona.
Horn set meaning what?
Horn set meaning 2 guys at the elbows, 2 guys in the corner. And that's the alignment. And you can do so many different things out of it.
Another fadeaway for Much.
Just a tough shot. Right now, with Nelson out of the game on the bench with those 2 fouls, Fairfield needs to be efficient with the ball and not turn it over. They don't have the number of scorers, so Flavors has to be the primary guy that Iona's guarding now.
That's Segura, the senior, with his first bucket.
Segura's had 3 double-figure games this year. He had 10 against Monmouth, 14 against LIU, and then when he went home, he had 11 points at Houston. And Houston's a really good team. Have you seen much of them?
I have.
They're very good.
Rob Gray can score in bunches. They almost feel like they could be the longest term team in the tournament from the American. I know Wichita's had a great year, Cincinnati too, but Houston's scary.
Well, they can rebound and they can spread you, and then Gray can get you 30 in a game. Yeah, he scores. He can make threes. That's not primarily what he does, but he's really good off the bounce, and he's got a score, big time scorer's mentality. But they're a typical Kelvin Sampson team that they're just tough. They do the little things. They dive on the floor, but they really go after the ball and rebound.
And it has not been an easy season for them either. Hofheinz Pavilion, their home, is being renovated. They're playing at Texas Southern for their home games, and one of the best seasons in recent memory for Houston. Casimir goes 2 for 2.
And Nelson back into the ball game. And he's going to draw all the attention, and his teammates can take advantage of it.
Tyler Nelson with 2 fouls and 17 points of the 37 for Fairfield. He wears 3 in red. El Sheik right on the doorstep, missed.
All he needed to do was go straight up.
And Ricky McGill lost the basketball for Iona. Fairfield has it.
Well, I know Tim Kloos doesn't like turnovers, but he wants to play fast, and you're going to have to live with a few of them. I think he's saying right now, we didn't need it there. Then you can pull it back out when you don't have it and get the best possible shot going into halftime.
Either Tim has packed multiple of the same tie, by the way, or he has the same tie on as last night.
Yeah, it's probably superstition. Tim Kloos would probably tell you that he's not superstitious, but why risk it?
Which is a classic sign.
Man-to-man, the last full possession here for Fairfield, but Iona's going to get it back.
Barring a second chance, which never comes. 5 to play in the first half. Lewis for Iona. Got 2!
What a shot with the left hand. Zach Lewis. And took it all the way at plenty of time. The grad transfer from UMass, who's averaging over 17 a game in this tournament, gets right into the body of Kasibabu and then goes right over him with that left hand. What a way to finish the half for Iona.
It's an 11-2 run for the Gales. Iona with the lead. Chris Cotter, Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams in the studio. Your halftime report.
More trivia.
Welcome back to Champ Week, presented by Principal. In the MAAC Championship, Iona, the 4 seed with a 6-point lead here in Albany. Jason Benetti, Jay Billis along with you. Jay's exhausted his Sean McDonough games for the year. Good to see you. Iona in the first half got scoring from Zach Lewis big time.
Zach Lewis was really good, as was Roland Griffin, and a team that shoots and makes a lot of threes and has a bunch of three-point threats. It was the paint that Iona dominated in that first half. 24 points in the paint in large measure because Zach Lewis was attacking the paint and attacking the bucket. He wound up with 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals in that first half, and his partner Roland Griffin had 17 points in a half where Ricky McGill and Cedric Casimir, they combined for 6 points. They were just 2 of 8 from the field.
We were talking about this during the break. Iona goes 1 for 8 from three-point range. They shoot 39% on the year, second best in the MAAC, and they're still up 6.
Well, it's because of the paint. I mean, they're really getting the ball into the paint, and they're hanging some fouls on Fairfield. They're 12 of 12, Iona is, from the free throw line. And in the first 2 games these teams played, the winning team made 14 threes in the game.
2 more for Lewis, just like in the first half.
Just came off a little wide pin down screen, and he is seeing a big basket right now. Iona's had 8 different guys that have scored 20 or more in a game. And that gives you a lot of different options. There's the 2-3 zone that Tim Kluse likes to play. They change a lot of defenses to get it on the sideline. They'll trap along the baseline. That tie looks familiar. I don't know if you noticed, but he wore that same tie yesterday.
Just bury him one more time while you're at it. Iona last year made the NCAA tournament and was a 16 seed out in Sacramento. Lost to the 1 seed Oregon. But they're scary to have against you because they can score 80 points a game. Top 50 in the country. Griffin the miss.
Yeah, one of the few questionable shots Iona's taken. A really good job by Ricky McGill to make Flavors go to his left.
Forced a long 3. Long rebound out to Casimir, who was quiet in the first half. Lewis was not, and he lipped it out.
And not a bad shot at all, because you have to work really hard to get an open 3 in the half court. If you can get it early, take it.
Casimir for Crawford, and Iona will back it out.
If you use a fake in this game, a ball fake or a shot fake, you are going to get something good out of it.
Both ways.
No question. Anybody in this game, if you lift your eyebrows up, the defense is going to come off the floor.
Interesting strategy you can teach at your next camp. Iona all-time has owned the MAAC. Banners everywhere. Last 2 seasons, certainly 10 titles for the Gales.
Well, Iona has had its own list of really good coaches. You mentioned Tim Welsh, and they've had Kevin Willard here. Obviously, Jim Valvano coached here before he went to NC State. Pat Kennedy coached here. But they've had some great players in the past at Iona.
Segura got fouled.
Cashmere just came out late. Segura was wide open and hesitated. That worked out well for him because Cashmere came out and fouled him. Cashmere, who's played so well in this tournament, just can't get anything going in this one.
He had a rough year a couple of years ago. 3 surgeries, Cedric Casimir, with 2 hip surgeries, a sports hernia as well. Tough childhood too, and Casimir has been a huge part of this run the last couple of days in Albany, but no field goals tonight.
He's finally healthy this season, and he can play big minutes. He couldn't even play back-to-back games without problems last year. What a strong move by Roland Griffin. Probably got fouled there, but still completed the play.
And on the back end, Griffin shows the defense for Iona, up 9.
Griffin has been the star of this game. Nobody has played better in this game than Roland Griffin has.
After being in massive foul trouble the last couple of games.
Just even a 3rd game in as many days, for him to play as hard as he's played, there's no question he got fouled there, just didn't get called. And yet another blocked shot where he's come from behind and saved a basket. Seems like he's hurt that right hand in the middle of the zone now, and looks like he's favoring that hand. He's got it taped up. Quits knocking the ball off the backboard, blocking shots. Maybe that hand will feel a little better. He's been so good in this game. Good pass.
McGill from the corner for 3.
That is the way fast breaks have evolved. It used to be you'd run the lanes and then attack the basket. Now you run to the corner for a 3-point shot. McGill starting to get going.
Iona up 12. Jay, take us inside the play.
Well, let's take a look at the fast break that Iona just ran. Cashmere's got the ball, and you take a look at Ricky McGill on the left. Now, normally what would happen in the old days is you'd attack the basket as a cutter, but now you go deep into the corner to flatten the defense out, and it gets you a higher value shot. You try to stop the ball as Segura did, and that's going to leave Ricky McGill wide open for a three. If he had shot faked, if Nelson had come up on him, he could have taken that ball to the bucket. Just so many options, but now you're running to the corner instead of running to the rim. Totally different.
Flavors for three for Fairfield, a much needed three. But I want to ask you, when did that change?
When did it change? It's an NBA thing. I think actually Mike D'Antoni, when he was in Phoenix, had a huge impact. He's had a huge impact on basketball, period. But a huge impact on basketball with how they ran the lanes differently. And it used to be years ago that you would run, when you ran your fast break drills and fast breaks in games, you'd have a right wing, left wing, and you could even have them cross underneath the basket. That used to happen all the time. But now they run straight to the corner, and they do it because the three-point shot is now an asymmetrical threat. I mean, it's a higher value shot, and you want the floor spread.
Also one of your nicknames in college, asymmetrical threat.
You know, during the break, you were asking me about Macbeth, what my favorite line was, and it was neither a borrower nor a lender be, just so we could finish that conversation, because it is so highbrow, our discussions during the break. It's not all about basketball, it's about education.
The more you know. 11-point game. What does Fairfield need to do offensively?
Well, I think the guy with the ball in his hands right now, Nelson, has got to become more involved. He needs to score and draw attention, then he can give the ball up. But Segura right now has had it in his hands. They're taking so many difficult shots. You know, fadeaways, challenge shots. Right now, Fairfield cannot get open shots.
Third foul against Casababu, the big for Fairfield. After San Francisco, Gonzaga, Kenny Mayne and Steve Levy have Sports Center best buzzer beaters in college hoops. There was one in Radford starting off Champ Week. In the Big South, Cleveland's defense, what gives? And then Combine winners and losers. Sports Center at 9/11 Eastern on ESPN and the app.
Why would you want to combine winners and losers? They should keep them separate. I think Sports Center's making a huge mistake there to combine winners and losers.
Well, you get to average that way.
It's always where I've been.
Miss for Cruz. Danger time right now for Fairfield, the 6th seed. Look out for the trailer. It's Lewis for three.
Boy, what a good pass by Roland Griffin. A lot of big guys, and even though he's a versatile player, he's still a big guy. A lot of big guys like Griffin taking the ball in the lane there would have charged. And instead he drew the defense, kicked it back out to Lewis. And you're right, it is danger time. This can get away from Fairfield in a hurry.
After this, a recruit to the MAAC with one of the greatest plays you'll see all year leading to this stampede. How did it happen? We'll find out. On the way to the MAAC, Julian McGarvey, a commit to play quarterback at Marist in this league at Ardsley High School in Westchester County, with this shot to win a game. One-handed from 70 is a high level of difficulty as Methnani bags a three for Fairfield.
A lot of the football guys say that's a tight window. He can throw it into a tight window. He really showed a lot to the other team when their football throw was not quite as good. He just turned around and threw it into the basket. They couldn't throw it length of the floor just to get it down court.
Already building on the MAAC history set by comedian Kevin Nealon in football, who at one time played quarterback for Fairfield.
Kevin Nealon played quarterback at Fairfield.
He did.
Is that right?
For a short time.
Kenny Mayne played quarterback at UNLV. Played behind Randall Cunningham. And probably several others.
Tonight on Anchors Who've Played Quarterback. Rebound for Nelson. Fairfield may have withstood the rally. We'll see.
Right now, the Iona defense has been very active. And they are forcing Fairfield into difficult shots. They're also forcing them into one-on-one situations to create on their own. And even when Flavors on that last play just had the ball in the wing, instead of looking to the corner, he had a wide open teammate in the corner. You know, the pressure had him looking the other way. I mean, Segura was wide open in the corner. He never even looked. And it's the pressure that really did that to him.
Partially the situation of a championship game too, you think?
It could be, but you know, I've been in the tape that I've watched of Fairfield. It's not like I've watched every game in the last 12, but you know, they're a good basketball team. I don't think you could say that early on in the season. I mean, they started out, what were they, 7-13 or something? They were not good, and especially not good defensively. They were giving up close to 50% from the field, and they've really done a good job over the last 12 games. This has become a very good basketball team.
They beat the 11 seed Marist in the opening round. Beat the 3 seed Niagara.
Great steal by Lewis.
Ahead to Crawford. Banks it in.
Boy, that was just textbook. Terrific hands and high hands by Lewis to get the steal. And E.J. Crawford went right into the defense and basically forced the defense to foul him, or he was going to finish it.
Let's take a look at the Capital One fan vote, Jay. Question is, which top seed is most likely to win its league tournament? You have 5 seconds.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, because you have to go into the relative strength not only of the team, but
you're
the
ruining the fun here. Just pick
I think
one.
the most likely is Arizona.
You know, if you log on to facebook.com/SportsCenter, there's a place where you can type. You have to look at the relative strength as you give your answer.
Hey, we are living in the age of analytics, Jason Benetti. It is important that you factor in everything. We're no longer in an RPI world.
McGill the miss. When were we in an RPI world?
Forever, until the last several years, where you went with the easiest and simplest metric that told you absolutely nothing. Great play.
Oh, the hammer off the feed from Lewis to Edogi.
You could see that coming a mile away. There's just nothing that Fairfield could do to stop it. And right now, all the momentum and all the fun is with Iona. Well, this is a different team than we saw in the first half last night against St. Peter's.
This is the second half version for an entire game as they blitz the shooter. Offensive rebound for Methnani, and a whistle comes.
Really good ball screen and roll to the basket. Nobody picks up the roll. Methnani stayed with the ball way too long, even though Flavors was already there and angling it out. That was just beautifully done. And Edogi, who's the #2 rebounder in the MAAC this season. That was an above the rim play.
Not the same type of big as they've had in the past, like a David Lowry, but Edogi, the Tulsa transfer, has Iona up 17. A lot of talking to do for Fairfield. Here in the MAAC with an extra A, Iona leading 61-44 over Fairfield. The points in the paint has been egregious tonight.
34-8 in favor of Iona. Iona leading 15-3 in points off turnovers. It has been all Gales in this one, especially in the second half. I mean, two of 12 from the field for Fairfield, and it's because Iona's defense has really been locked in, been communicating, switching out.
Iona in the quarterfinals against Manhattan, to your point about their defense, went 11 minutes and 37 seconds without a field goal and built their lead over that time.
Well, it's not been a team that's been known for its defense. It's more its offense. But I think Fairfield may have to make a pretty big adjustment here. I don't think they can afford to send 4 guys back in transition. They're going to have to send guys to the offensive glass. And Deshaun Much, who is an excellent scorer, has just had some issues with consistency. They are just burying Fairfield right now.
And Much there with the foul.
Just because of a shot fake. The shot fake and ball fake is so effective in this game, really for both teams. But right now, Fairfield, in using that and trying to attack and finish plays, I don't think they can keep sending 4 guys back. I think they got to send at least 2, maybe 3 to the offensive glass and see if they can pick up some second shots, because they're going 1-on-4 right now without much hope of getting a second chance opportunity.
And that rebound just then gave an offensive rebounding team an opportunity. It was in the air for a while. There was only one Fairfield stag there. Idogi has the size advantage on Segura. Threw a shoulder into him and traveled. Iona with a win tonight will have won the MAAC championship 3 straight times. LaSalle back in 88-90, then Siena, those very strong Saints teams in the late 2000s.
Well, back in the late 80s, early 90s, that was Lionel Simmons was at LaSalle back then playing for the Explorers.
Way off on the 3 from Cruz, and you wonder if Fairfield has one more run in him.
Yeah, there were some heads hanging after that shot was missed. And right now, even though Iona likes to play fast, you are not going to see them take their foot off the gas. But they need to be very mindful about using clock.
Nelson with a pump in midair. My goodness.
Are you kidding me? That dude can flat out play. And that's not, what is that, 20 for him now? It's his first bucket of the second half, I believe.
It is. McGill very quickly the answer. But the way they score, how do you make up 19 points in 9 minutes against Iona is the question.
Yeah, you got to get some stops. But I think if you can get some scores, then for some reason, when the ball goes through the basket, it lifts you up a little bit and you're more likely to guard. If you're having to grind it out without scoring, obviously when you're down, you can't win unless you score. But it gives you a little more pep in your step when you get the ball to go through the basket. I think it's a smart move right now for Iona. Just run a little bit of clock.
Down to 10 on this possession. Much with the step back. He's not shy. Cruz is fouled.
Yeah, if you find anybody on this Iona team that's shy offensively, let me know. But a pretty darn good job by Lewis here to take that shot away. And yet the adjustment in air by Tyler Nelson. How impressive was that? Actually caught his foot up with Lewis. Could have actually had a 4-point play there. The one thing about Lewis that I thought was, or excuse me, about Tyler Nelson that I thought was really cool is he was asked by a media member about not being named Player of the Year. And instead of doing, saying that, well, look, we got a lot of great players in the league, he said, "You're darn right I'm mad about it. I thought I deserved it."
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Then he got asked about it again. He said, "I think you know the answer." That's it.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
He's a competitor. Of course he wants to win. I'm sure everybody sitting at the Academy Awards last night, even though they were smiling and clapping, were like, I should have won that.
That would be a pretty highly rated show, is the thoughts of losers in the crowd at award shows.
Well, and maybe that should have been what SportsCenter did last night, is combine winners and losers, as they're going to do tonight.
Bring them together in one forum.
Well, that's the kind of turnover that can get a team feeling like they can get back in it.
And then a foul ensues. Cruz is hit.
Yeah, there's way too much time to start throwing it behind your head. See, now everybody's moaning at one another.
Wow.
See, they're getting on Much about, hey, you can't throw that pass, and Much didn't like it. Now all of a sudden you go from 20 points up, and everybody's, planning on who's going to cut the net down last. Starting to get on each other a little bit. I don't think it's a big deal, but.
Well, it was a big deal for Tim Kloos. He likely was going to pull Much anyway, considering the sequence. Yeah. But to the point, we saw Lewis as the one who goes after him. And Tim Kloos told us, as you said in the first half, he's found his voice, and now he's policing Much on the floor.
I think sometimes that people get the wrong idea that it's okay for players and teammates to challenge one another, as long as it's done in the right way and everybody knows where you're coming from. And it's often on the player that's getting challenged to handle it the right way and respond the right way.
Coaches want that.
I think they do.
Inside again, Roland Griffin, who has had a massive game for Iona.
Yeah, it's been the Roland Griffin show. This has been a career-high performance in maybe the biggest game that he's played up till now.
Winner goes to the NCAA tournament with the MAAC championship. Nelson, the senior, did not get the bounce. And 8 flat to go. Iona by 16.
Methnani all by himself trying to get an offensive rebound. It's just not going to happen. When you got 4 Iona players and should have 5, but you got them going to the defensive boards, you're not going to have a whole lot of offensive rebound opportunities. And right now, Fairfield, they have to find a way to get extra possessions.
Oh, Griffin missed the dunk.
Looked like he got his hand caught on the rim because he wouldn't let go. Well, it's a good dunk when you miss it and it's still impressive.
Iona with the lead, and this is a play-by-play guy's dream scenario. Honestly, Jay Billis is gone. The question is, where is he and what's he doing here in Albany? So let's find out. Jay, oh look, he's reading the program. He's got a menu in front of him at the VIP seats. We can't hear you. You don't have a headset on. That's how TV works. Jay Billis, VIP. It's a long walk back here. Let's see if Jay can get his. Are you here now?
I was just deciding on what I was going to order, what to eat.
You're going to go with the tender basket?
The tender basket was awfully good. It's just the decision on the barbecue sauce or the honey mustard, and the mini corn dogs were intriguing. You wonder if the stick is the same size and the corn dogs are mini, or what the deal was.
That is certainly what's going to be rolling through people's minds.
So many questions.
Yeah, very analytical. We're not in an RPI world anymore. This is the VIP area.
Awfully difficult to get into, 2-drink minimum.
Did you leave a tip?
You're performing after the game in the VIP lounge.
Can I ask you what I'll be doing?
You're going to be telling jokes.
It'll clear out pretty quickly. Cruz to the lane for 2 and a foul. Fairfield within 12.
Boy, Cruz with a really nice and strong drive. It looked like he didn't have anything in there, but just the ball fake, and all of a sudden Zach Lewis, instead of stepping out and stepping toward half court to try to angle out that drive, his first step is back and just opened up the lane. And it's been so difficult for Fairfield to get anything in the lane and to finish a play. So right now there's still plenty of time for Fairfield in this game. And when Iona had that 20-point lead, they got loose with the ball, turned it over a couple times, coughed it up. And if Fairfield can get another stop here, get a score, then all of a sudden Iona's going to feel some game pressure they haven't felt for about 12 or 14 minutes. What a play.
That's a tie-up, an epic tie-up, and Fairfield and Methnani will take the ball.
Boy, Methnani goes straight up and just grabs that ball right out of the hands of Roland Griffin to tie it up. And Griffin's made so many strong moves. That's such a great defensive play, not only to move his feet, but that's the kind of play that can turn a little bit of momentum back in the favor of Fairfield here if they can get a score.
You could make the argument that was even a clean steal and not a tie-up.
Yeah, you could actually.
Flavors. There's the offensive rebound. Methnani bounced it out to the corner to Iona.
Boy, Methnani had, I don't want to say it was easy, but he's not going to get much easier around the basket than that. And you wonder how that's going to play into the psyche of the Stags. Because you get that one, cut this thing to 10, and things are going to feel a lot different. Now if Iona can get a score here, maybe they can take a little wind out of this Fairfield comeback opportunity.
They deny Crawford, go down low for Griffin. And that's going to be
I thought they got a kickball.
Yeah. So reset the shot clock to 20. Tim Cluse in his 8th season. Iona 6 consecutive trips to the finals in the MAAC tournament. Crawford found his way to the rim open.
Well, that was way too easy. And Lewis, when he stopped and pivoted, really good cut behind the action by Crawford.
Nelson for 3, the senior from Massachusetts, the leading scorer for this team, has 23.
Anytime you take your eyes off him, he finds an opening. It's really remarkable how efficient he has been in this game with not very many opportunities, and most of his opportunities were challenged. He had a couple open ones, and those he drilled.
McGill.
Tough shot.
One and done for Iona. 5 minutes, 11-point game.
Sticking with the zone.
Nelson got bumped. And one and done for Fairfield.
A little surprising that Nelson wasn't able to come up with that call. Now the weave action. This gives you an opportunity to turn the corner, but also gives you a chance to get the matchup you want to drive it.
Methnani closed off on Griffin. Crawford fouled. Nelson didn't have to, and he reached in.
Yeah, just a little over pursuit there. And even though it wasn't a violent fake, just that subtle little fake allowed Crawford to get by.
Iona, the best free throw shooting team in the MAAC, 73.5%, and no misses tonight. That's how Fairfield banked some points last night. 21 of 22 from the free throw line in the win in the semis. Timeout by Fairfield. Iona trying to close it out, up a dozen. We're back in 30.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Investments, retirement, insurance.
Player for Greg Campy at Oakland, and they would have an even better team if Martez Walker hadn't been injured. Like Oakland was really good. I mean, it's still very good, but they were even better with both Walker and Nunn in the lineup. Each of those guys could go for 35 in a given game.
Tim Cluse a little disappointed in the call, giving a really to our 3-man crew.
I've always found the referees react negatively to the word really.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's not the cuss words. It's when you say really, it really hurts them.
I was going to say other trigger words that you'd like to share. And Flavors with the miss on the front end. 12-point game moving down to 4 minutes. Winner goes to the NCAA tournament.
Back into the weave and get a switch. You can always back cut it.
Crawford goes down the front door and out of bounds to Fairfield.
4 minutes to go in regulation, 12-point game. You know, if Fairfield can just get a bucket and get it under 10. Everything, I don't know what it is about a double-digit lead, but you get it under 10, it just feels different. And then there'd be a little bit more game pressure on Iona, and Fairfield might have a chance. But I think there's a really big possession right here.
Cruz with 10.
Too much dribbling.
Everything at the arc. Flavors to the rim. Had it pancaked by Griffin, but a foul.
Oh, Griffin hit him with the body and just was carried into him. He got the ball up top, but then you see put him right into the ground with the body there. I like any contact after the shot's blocked. If it's not something that crushes you, it's not really a foul. But you know, I've always been cool with protecting shooters, especially when I was the shooter. I was really cool with it then.
Figure that actually could have gone unsaid. 2 for 2 for Flavors.
So much of what I say could have gone unsaid.
And now Iona up 10. 3.5 to go, but they play fast. So where do you live offensively, tempo-wise?
You know, Iona's got an older team. I don't think using some clock really takes all their momentum away. It's just being smart.
McGill to drop off and Griffin the finish.
Little wing ball screen there. I mean, it was simple. They used some clock. Now all of a sudden it's down to 3 minutes. And only 3 minutes of smart basketball stands between Iona and the NCAA tournament. How about that over the head pass?
From Methnani, Flavors ends up with it. Segura the rebound.
See, now they're sticking around offensive rebound, and I think it's paying off. You have to take a risk right now. They're not necessarily pulling the goalie, but you have to send more than one to the offensive glass in order to make up this deficit. You can't just give yourself one opportunity and then wave the white flag.
Nelson just could not shake Casimir. Looking for that shot, the leading scorer for Fairfield. Instead, it comes from the wing, and the bounce wouldn't go. The second chance is there, though, for Methnani.
Methnani has worked awfully hard in this game. Smart play by McGill. Pull it back out. Now, earlier in the game, that would have been shot, and there wouldn't have been any question about it. Right now, the clock is Iona's friend more than anything.
And again, Iona, a very good free throw shooting team.
Good fake.
Methnani absolutely crushed McGill.
Double technical foul. The referees got tired of hearing the players talk to one another. So now free throw shooting contest. So those should offset, but they count as personal fouls. As long as that hard foul didn't hit McGill in the head, it won't be flagrant. If it got him in the head, yeah, see, that won't be flagrant. That's just a hard foul. And then the double technical, I doubt that anything will come of that. There might have been a little pushing and shoving afterwards, but before the technical was called, but after the foul was called. So I don't think you'll see any sort of dead ball contact technical called.
Yeah, I agree on this contact too. He didn't get him in the head.
Yeah, and the officials are being told what to do in this, but anytime there's contact to the head, it seems like we get a flagrant one. And I'd be very surprised if anything other than a common foul comes from that. But the double technical, that's going to be a personal foul on, Methnani's going to get a personal. Is that 5 on him?
That is 5 on Methnani.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate.
Crawford with the other side of that for Iona. What did Ron Taberski tell you?
He said common foul, double technical. It's a tough way for Methnani to foul out because he really played hard in this game, had a really good outing. And he was effective. That takes an effective player off the floor for the last 2:07 of regulation.
Just when, as you said, they're going to, you would imagine, look to offensive rebound more. He's your best bet at 14 and 8 tonight, with Iona continuing to be mostly sterling from the free throw line.
Fairfield can't afford to take a ton of time, but they've got to get Nelson moving. He can't just stand there in the corner.
That'll be 2 and a foul. Time now for our Jersey Mike's A Performance Above, and it's Mr. Griffin for Iona.
Roland Griffin was spectacular all game long, and it wasn't just the skill that he showed, it was more the will. That his activity level from the opening tap was really impressive, and that led him to a number of excellent defensive plays. He ran the floor, he cut hard, he finished plays. There's been no question in my mind that Roland Griffin has been the player of the game in this game.
Junior out of the Chicago suburbs, and now Casimir fouled, and there are not many right guys to foul for Iona, but Casimir is very much the wrong guy at 83% for the year, and a 1-and-1 coming.
In a game where Cedric Cashmere and Ricky McGill didn't have their best games, to have both Zach Lewis and Roland Griffin step forward and play this well. Iona's had a really solid outing in this game. It's a different, you had mentioned it's a different team. You know, Iona always seems to have really good guards, but they've always had a big guy that they've been able to throw the ball into the post. He could score, get fouled. You could play 4 round 1. Last year was Jordan Washington, who was a really good scorer, excellent rebounder.
90 seconds to go, and a wide open lane for Cruz. It's an 8-point game. No timeouts left for Fairfield.
Really good move by Zach Lewis to get open. Faked in and then went deep and made himself available.
So Lewis will go to the line at 74%. The final 1-and-1 coming for Iona.
You have to figure Iona is looking at what, maybe a 14 seed in the tournament?
14,
maybe
15. Yeah. This would be win number 20 for Iona. If it comes, 8-point game, buck 13 to go. Nelson off the spin, and the double came from McGill.
I was surprised he didn't pull the trigger on that right away.
Casababu rolled it in. The lead 6 for Iona. And Casimir fouled. He'll get 2 shots.
Boy, a lead that was once 20, now a 2-possession game. And you know, when Iona looks at the film of this, they're going to look back to the loose possessions they had when they were up 20. Just throwing really ill-advised passes, what Al McGuire used to call French pastry. I think it was 18 years ago. 18 years ago today, Al McGuire did his last game in the NCAA tournament. I think it was 18 years ago today.
Wow. Absolute legend. Nobody could manipulate the language like Al McGuire.
Oh, God. Al McGuire was one of the best ever.
Question about the game clock as Casimir makes the first. And don't forget, the West Coast Conference semifinals are coming up next. San Francisco and Gonzaga. Bob Wischusen standing by, as they say. So Iona 19 and 13, which has been not their best mark, certainly going into the NCAA tournament. As again, the officials are looking at the game clock at 56.7 right now. Question is, well, the clock was rolling with the make,
but the ball went through the bucket. It was still a minute.
Yep.
It's under a minute when it stops, so it could keep going.
basically right at a minute when that ball went through.
Exactly. And they stop it when it goes through at under a minute. So that's the precision timing system. Precise. Well named.
No irony tonight. Lead is 8. Nelson. Flavors has not had his shot this evening. Foul coming on the rebound. Griffin had control of it, and he'll go the other way.
I don't necessarily know that Fairfield needed to have a 3 there. You know, you've got plenty of time. Just get the ball to the rim. If you draw the defense, then you could kick it out maybe for an open 3. But I like the idea of putting some pressure on the rim. You miss a 3, all of a sudden you're going down the other end. I'd rather put it in and then foul them, and you know they got to go down with a little bit of pressure on them in a 2-possession game to make these free throws.
Griffin the first, and credit Iona too for denying Nelson in the second half. Tyler Nelson on an average of 22 has scored only 6 in the second half on a couple of threes.
That's 17 points in the first half, so you're right. I mean, the offense run by Fairfield in the second half was too many individual plays, and that's not the way they played all year long.
Flavors the miss. Rebound for McGill. Streaking into the front court with Udogie for one more flush.
The Iona Gales have, in a way, owned this MAAC tournament. And it seems like every time you turn around, Iona and Tim Kloos are in the championship game. And in a year where it seemed like it was going to be Ryder or Canisius, maybe even Niagara coming into this tournament, once again, it's Iona.
Iona heading to the NCAA tournament. Loyola for the first time since the 1980s. Lipscomb in for the first time, and then Murray State, another one of those dynastic teams out of the Ohio Valley, joining Iona and Radford and Michigan if this score holds.
Loyola Chicago has not been to the NCAA tournament since 1985 when Alfredrick Hughes was their best player.
Rambler historian Jay Billis.
And going out of the game, Jesus Cruz, you could see the emotion. I mean, when people think, and that's Jesus Cruz, just a freshman. And when people think that these players might not care, they care. You know, players make mistakes. You might throw the ball away. You don't complete a play. But these guys put a lot into this, and they want to win.
And that will be all for the 2,000-point scorer, Tyler Nelson, the senior for Fairfield.
And what a great career Tyler Nelson's had. They recruit to love each other. I don't think I'll ever forget Sidney Johnson saying that, and you can see that that's the way he feels, not only about Tyler Nelson but as his entire team. It's nice to see.
Fairfield, which was 7-13 this year, made a heck of a run, but Iona once again is champions of the MAAC. The Gales will have to wait with a 10-second call. 0.6 remaining.
Yeah, all they have to do is inbound the ball.
And they do. The Iona Gales win number 20. And they go back to the NCAA tournament, their 13th appearance. They do it by a dozen here in Albany. Every year they seem to find a way.
Well, I've said it with regard to other programs. There's championship DNA. And you have to say the same thing about the Iona Gales in the MAAC. It is not an accident that the Gales win year after year in the MAAC tournament.
So the Gales from New Rochelle, Don McLean's alma mater, goes to the NCAA tournament. The 4-seed wins at the MAAC. So for our entire crew, for Jay, I'm Jason saying so long from the Times Union Center in Albany. For now, with the celebration on for Iona, we send it back to the studio. and Chris Cotter. Take it away.
Don McClain went to UCLA. Who you kidding?